My friends, welcome back to the channel where today I'm attempting to build a good B&M Family Invert. Newer B&Ms these days are known for being very rattly, not so much that it is unbearable mind you, but it does make them feel older than they are. On top of that, the ride that inspired today's creation, which is Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa, has been described as forceless, and while I can't tell you my opinion on it since I haven't ridden it, I thought it would be interesting to make my own version of that coaster type. That's when my good friend Corvus approached me to make a family coaster for Cedar Cove, his latest and biggest park project to date, so let's make a good B&M Family Invert for Corvus's park. The first thing I had to do was the layout, and for that I took some inspiration from Phoenix Rising of course, but I also took inspiration from Vekoma New Gen Inverts because I've ridden a couple of those and they're amazing. B&M could really learn a thing or two from them. Let's start with a cinematic spit build to make our layout. And voila, almost 500 meters of track. It's a little shorter than Phoenix Rising, but if Vekoma Family Inverts have taught me anything, it's that there's no need to make the ride experience longer just for the sake of it. Oh yeah, I have to mention, I took a massive amount of inspiration from the new gen Vekoma Inverts, especially with how flowy they are, but of course I added that B&M flavor to the formula. Let's take a look at that together. First of all, we come out of the station and climb up the 23-meter lift hill, slightly smaller than my inspiration. But as I always say, the stats do not matter, it's just how you use them that does. Then it's time for the first drop and a whippy transition into an overbanked curved rise that sort of feels like an inclined loop, but not really at the same time. We're then going into a light airtime bump underneath the lift hill that introduces kids to 0G, which leads to what I intend to be the signature moment of the ride, the overbanked turn over the entrance, a little foreshadowing for you here. After that, we're going into a forceful 3G helix. Remember, it is important to introduce a younger audience to more thrilling forces with family coasters, and right after that we should have a little pop of weightlessness for a balanced experience. A whippy turn over the end of our first element, and one last little pop of weightlessness to lead our train to the brake run and back to the station. Oh, and of course we should include a transfer track to fix Phoenix Rising's capacity problem. There we go, our layout's done, and as you can see it's one hell of a family coaster. It features a great mix of moments carefully crafted to give families a taste of the bigger coasters that will be in Corvus's park, all throughout a very flowy layout thanks to new gen Vekoma inspired transitions. If we look at it from a top-down perspective, you can see how I tried to keep the layout compact while leaving some room to build the queue line inside it all, but before we get to explore the finished product, it's custom supporting time. It had been ages since I custom supported an invert, and it's even the first B&M coaster that I custom support. I will definitely try to build more B&Ms in the future, especially in future park projects. Is that ASMR? What the hell? But let's look at the supports for a second, because interestingly enough, by studying Phoenix Rising supports, I realized it had really unique structures for some of them, like this one for the lift hill. Usually you'll see classic A-frames for that purpose, but for this coaster we have something that resembles the side A-frames that we find on other track pieces. One could even call them metallic A-frames. Yeah, I'm still working on the name, sorry. Let's move on. Another really unique support structure is this very thin A-frame for straighter portions of track, which is enabled by the car being 2 seat wide instead of 4 like the classic B&M Thrill inverts. I'm gonna be honest, I had a ton of fun custom supporting this ride. Since I'd never really done any before, I really had to go out of my comfort zone, which is always the most fun in this game in my opinion. But now it's time to give the final brushstroke to this project. Let's see how it all looks when completed. There we are. As you can see, I wanted to keep a sober, realistic look for the area to fit with Corvus's style while still giving it a little Yan BK personality. I've done this by choosing to center the whole ride concept around someone's first flight, knowing full well it would be some kid's first suspended coaster. That's why I've lightly themed the ride to a Barnstormer, the iconic biplanes used to do aerial stunts. In fact, I've made a biplane from scratch for the occasion, which was completely inspired by the one in front of Dollywood's Barnstormer Barnstormer flat ride. I've tried to make it as realistic as possible. It was my first time making a custom vehicle, so I hope I did a good job. I've uploaded it to the workshop if, for some reason, you need a biplane. As promised earlier in the episode, we have the entrance underneath the overbank turn, and I must say, I think this might be my favorite ride sign I've done so far. Replicating the shape of a biplane in 2D form in front of a cloud with a motor that spins just feels right. It felt so satisfying to do what is actually quite a simple sign. Oh, and I've also used my customizable ride info board that I uploaded to the workshop a few weeks back. Here's the share code for it if you're interested. I remember someone asking me, what if I'm not making a park set in France, because there's French writing on the original? Well, you can completely customize it like I did here. After all, once you download my blueprint, it's yours. I simply replaced the French section with a description and adjusted the height restrictions to accurately reflect the ones for Phoenix Rising. It's all in the details, my friends. By planning my ride to have room for the queue from the get-go, I was able to fit quite a long queue, which also has modular cattle pens. It's nothing much, but again, Corvus is going for a Cedar Fair style park, so I had to go for something sober that would look realistic and hopefully pleasant thanks to the foliage around it. My favorite area of the queue is this one, where you're introduced to the station building, which I've decided would be a barn, fitting for a ride named Barnstormer. We've even got this tarp that the owner used to advertise the experience, only at Cedar Cove of course, and again, if you haven't checked out Corvus's first episode of Cedar Cove last week, I highly recommend you do so. This area is also an open sky part of the queue line because it's where you'll get the best views of the back of the ride. Then we arrive to another cattle pen section near the brake run, which makes me remember we also have a transfer track here with a maintenance building. Corvus excels at realism after all, so it was the least I could do. Then a little turn and into the barn we go to board the ride. Our station's rather simple, with numbered rows, a copy of the tarp outside, and a spare motor for the biplane. Oh, and don't forget clutter, it is a barn after all. Now it's time to board Barnstormer for you to experience your first flight on the B&M Family Invert in Planet Coaster 2. Enjoy! And voila! Barnstormer is ready to be added to Corvus's Cedar Cove. I'm really happy to have made this coaster for him, as it was something I'd never done before, and I can't wait to collaborate with him again if it keeps pulling me towards novel ideas such as these. Naturally, this coaster was done for him, but you can all use this blueprint in your parks by downloading it thanks to this share code, so let me know what you think about it in the comments. I wanted to use the end of this video to thank you all for your support. Many of you haven't seen my 5K celebration with the contest and Q&A announcement last week, so I wanted to do it properly here. Thank you so much for being absolute legends who simply allow me to make this dream come true, and together we'll take things even further, I'm sure. We've started the road to 10,000 subs, so if you're just finding the channel with this video, what are you waiting for to subscribe? I will be using the month of February to prepare all of the upcoming uploads, as I simply cannot keep up with a weekly schedule at the moment. It's just too much work for a single man to do, especially if I am to keep the high quality standard of my videos. I intend to use this time to finish Camtasso Park as well as other projects that I've committed myself to, and uploads will resume on March 2nd, when I'll share my own exciting interpretation of my contest to celebrate its deadline, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that. Until then, you can join my channel supporters to get progress updates regularly throughout February, as well as early access to my upcoming videos, and your names in my projects are at the end of my videos like the legends you are seeing here. I should also welcome Polo RG and Aerotech to the club and congratulate MDIS for earning the 1-month badge, as well as Glapix, Miss Barbar and Joshua Galipo for earning the 2 months badge. You guys have chosen the best way to support my hard work, and I'll be forever grateful that you've joined my channel supporters. And of course, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Yen, and I'll see you in the next one.